E-cigarettes were first popularized in the early 2000s. In the last decade, the industry has skyrocketed, with roughly 460 e-cigarette brands worldwide and 10,000 vape shops in the United States. The health risks of vaping remain relatively unknown, and the high level of use by youth due to a variety of fun flavors has been declared an epidemic by the CDC. I met with Becky Franks, the Director of Cancer Support Community of Montana and Chair of the Gallatin County Board of Health, to discuss the issue.
Vaping is an unregulated liquid that is heated up and vaped and so brought into people's lungs. And there's a lot about that we don't know. Vape is not just water particles that sit in the air. It has a bunch of chemicals in it. And it's so new that we don't quite know exactly what the effects are, but we do know that it is very addictive. The other thing we know is that the chemicals that are provided that you put into the liquid and the process of combusting it, even though it's not combusted by flame, but it is heated up enough to be able to vape, that produces chemicals and goes into the lungs. There's two things. One is it should not be done in public. And it shouldn't be done in public because your right to vape does not override my right to breathe clean air. That's the first reason. The second reason is the more that children see people vaping, just like cigarettes, the more they see it as normal. It's just the way adults act. And so it encourages kids to do it. And right now in Gallatin County, 1 in 3 kids in high school are vaping. So it really has picked up a lot. And that gets me to the third thing, which is the flavors that are used in vaping are very attractive to kids. And the tobacco company for years has done things to help children be more apt to start smoking and to use their products. Cigarettes next to the candy, when you walk into a store, seeing tobacco and vaping advertisements at child eye level, not adult eye level, having flavors like Fruity Tooty and Maui Wowie, that is not for people my age. That's for kids.
In attempts to address the vaping epidemic and the targeting of youth by vaping companies, many health officials, including the Gallatin County Board of Health, have implemented a number of regulations on the sale and use of vaping products.
October 25th, 2018, the Board of Gallatin City County Board of Health decided to adopt a policy that would bring vaping into the Clean Indoor Air Act enforcement policy. And what that would do is essentially, instead of just not being able to smoke in indoor spaces, it included vaping. And it also, though, wrote vaping into the definition of tobacco product, which is a big deal.
However, these regulations have led to significant pushbacks from the industry and from Big Tobacco. In Montana, the response by vape shop owners led to the introduction of House Bill 137 in this legislative session.
So House Bill 137 was brought forward by Representative Ron Marshall, who is also the owner of some vaping stores in Montana. And following the adoption of the local policy in 2018, he filed a lawsuit against the Gallatin City County Board of Health, saying that we didn't have the right to enforce that, to write or enforce that policy. And so then fast forward, he got elected to the House of Representatives for the state of Montana, and he ran in Hamilton, Montana, and then wrote House Bill 137 to restrict not only the ability for local boards of health, city commission, county commission to do any regulation of vaping, but also it erased everything that has been adopted up until now. And so the implications of that would be that our policy would be erased, that we put in 2018, and essentially people could vape sitting right next to you, Emma. Mm-hmm.
Policies like House Bill 137 would strip control from local health boards and endanger our citizens. In fact, it seems that Republican Representative Marshall, the sponsor of the bill, introduced it entirely to protect his own financial interests.
He's going to be the only person who's going to benefit from this bill.
But Big Tobacco and other vape-affiliated industries provided a lot of support for House Bill 137, and they presented a variety of arguments throughout the process.
The very first thing they say is that vaping helps people quit smoking. And there's absolutely no peer-reviewed scientific data showing that vaping is a good way to stop smoking. And the second thing is personal rights, personal freedom. That the vape is just water and it's not going to hurt you, and that really I have a right to vape and put anything in my body as I want. And because it's not toxic, it doesn't matter if it's in the air, because you can still breathe clean air and sit next to my vaping, which we know isn't true, but that's what they say. And then the third thing is businesses have the right to make money. And businesses do have the right to make money, but not at the harm of other people. When people say, well, I don't like, why are you picking on us? Why are you regulating vaping so much? Well, if you don't like it, sell things like bread. Because we're not going to regulate bread a whole lot, right? But you chose to sell vaping, you chose to sell alcohol, so that needs to be regulated. And obviously, if we just leave it up to you, you're going to sell it to all of our kids, and you're going to be vaping in public.
Despite initially low levels of support, House Bill 137 actually passed in the House, 62-37, along party lines. In the Senate, it was referred to the Business, Labor, and Economic Affairs Committee, where, on the day that I spoke to Becky, it was tabled. I asked her why she thought the committee made this decision.
For some people, the fact that it was so self-serving to one small industry, the fact that it would overturn local control and local decision-making. And then the other thing that I think is really just nuts and bolts, like, do you really want someone vaping next to you in the movie theater? Do you really want that to be legal?
Now that House Bill 137 is no longer a concern, local health officials here in Montana can turn their attention to continuing to regulate vaping products to protect their citizens. Becky has a few ideas about what the Gallatin County Board of Health might do next.
Two other things that we're kind of looking at, and one is to make it so selling flavors is illegal. It is a clear tactic to make it more palatable for people and to make it more attractive for kids. Missoula, I believe, has passed that, and we think it's a good idea as well. The second thing is in Minnesota and other states for years, advertising has been limited, and where vape and cigarettes are placed in the store, so the shelf space alone can be regulated. I think both of those things are really good in terms of not being attractive to kids. If you talk to Mitch Bradley at Heaves, he can tell you, like, he gets paid a decent amount of money for every ad he puts at eye level for kids. Like, it's not by accident, it's intentional.
Health officials, like the Board of Health, are the most equipped to understand the risks of vape products and to develop appropriate policies to protect their citizens. With such little understanding of the long-term effects of vaping, it's absolutely vital that we regulate use and access while continuing to conduct research on the health risks. I personally believe that the policy goals outlined by Becky are an ideal place to start to further protect the people and especially the youth of Montana. Moreover, I believe that vaping should be added to the Clean Indoor Air Act statewide, and that money from the tobacco settlement should be invested in its entirety towards preventing the use of vape and tobacco products. This is a serious issue, and hopefully state officials will get on board soon.